What I'm about to show you might be the most important 5 minutes you spend this year. Literally life-changing. So don't scroll away. Watch this properly. It's 11:40 p.m. on a Tuesday. In a small apartment in Chicago, a 34-year-old marketing manager named James is lying awake, staring at the ceiling. His laptop is still open on the kitchen table. His banking app is open on his phone. He's just checked his balance for the third time tonight, as if refreshing it will magically change the number. 2 weeks ago, he got a promotion. Base salary, $92,000 a year. He posted about it on LinkedIn. Thrilled to announce this next chapter, 140 likes. His parents called him. His dad said, "Son, you've made it." His friends said, "Bro, you're basically rich now." But here's what nobody saw. His credit card balance, $6,400. His car, leased, $420 a month. His student loan, still $11,000 left. His rent just went up by $150 because his landlord adjusted for the market. And somehow, despite the raise, despite the promotion, despite the little congratulations cake his team bought him, he has less breathing room this month than he did a year ago. And this feeling isn't just James's. It belongs to millions of people across America and Britain right now. The person earning what looks like a great salary on paper, who still checks their account balance before buying groceries. The person with a good job, a nice car, a decent postcode, who is one broken boiler or one missed paycheck away from panic. The person who does everything they were told to do. Study hard, get a degree, get a stable job, get promoted, and still ends every single month with almost nothing left over. Back in 1854, Henry David Thoreau wrote something that still describes this exact feeling almost 200 years later. The mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation. Get up, commute, work, commute back, sleep, repeat. Not poor enough to be desperate, not rich enough to be free. Just stuck, quietly, in the middle. Hey everyone, welcome back. Now, here's something you need to sit with for a second. A well-known Bankrate survey has repeatedly found that more than half of working adults in the US couldn't comfortably cover a surprise $1,000 expense without borrowing or going into debt. Not because they're unemployed, not because they're broke in the traditional sense, because their entire income, no matter how good it looks on a payslip, is already spoken for before it even lands in their account. And it's not just an American problem. Surveys across the UK consistently show a huge chunk of middle-income households living, effectively, paycheck to paycheck, despite home ownership, despite a car in the driveway, despite what looks from the outside like a completely stable, comfortable life. So here's the real question. It's not why don't middle-class people earn enough. Most of them earn plenty, compared to previous generations, compared to most of the world. The real question is, why does more money never seem to translate into more wealth? Why does a raise disappear within weeks? Why can someone earning $90,000 a year still feel just as trapped as someone earning 40? In today's video, I want to give you an explanation for this that you've probably never heard laid out this clearly before. And if you actually sit with it, it might change how you look at every single paycheck for the rest of your life. There are two camps of people when it comes to money. The first camp says, rich people just got lucky, or they were born into it, or they cheated the system somehow. It's all rigged, so why bother? The second camp says, I just need to earn more. Once I get that next promotion, that next raise, that new job with the better title, everything will finally click into place. James believed in camp 2. He believed the number on his payslip was the whole story. Both camps are wrong, and there's a body of research, going back decades, that explains exactly why. There's a well-known book by researcher Thomas Stanley called The Millionaire Next Door, built on years of surveying actual American millionaires. And what he found completely broke the stereotype. Most of these people didn't drive flashy cars. Many drove used cars for years. They didn't live in mansions. A huge number lived in completely ordinary modest homes, in completely ordinary neighborhoods. The people who looked rich, the ones with the least luxury cars and the designer everything, were very often the ones living closest to broke, and the people who were quietly, genuinely wealthy were the ones nobody would have guessed, because they weren't spending their income, they were converting it into something else. That something else is the whole secret. Robert Kiyosaki, in his book Rich Dad Poor Dad, draws one simple distinction that changes everything once you actually understand it. An asset is something that puts money into your pocket. A liability is something that takes money out of your pocket. Most people, when their income goes up, buy more liabilities and call them assets. A bigger house, a newer car, a nicer watch. None of these put a single dollar back into your pocket. They just quietly bleed you every single month. So the real formula isn't earn more, then get rich. The real formula is earn, convert a portion into things that pay you back, and let time do the rest. It's not about how much lands in your account. It's about which direction the money flows once it's there. But if the formula is this simple, why do more than 70% of people, by some estimates, still end up in this exact same trap regardless of how much they earn? Let's understand this through Emma's story. Emma is 31. She's a primary school teacher in Manchester. Steady job, decent but unremarkable salary, nothing glamorous. For years she told herself the same thing James told himself. I don't earn enough to invest. I don't earn enough to save. Once I get a pay rise, things will be different. One evening, scrolling through Instagram, she came across a short video explaining index funds, and something clicked. She opened an investment account and put in £40. That's it, £40. Now here's the part the motivational videos never tell you. 3 months in, the market dipped. Her £40 became 34. Her partner laughed and said, "See, I told you this stuff is a scam. Just spend it and enjoy your life." Emma nearly closed the account right there. She felt embarrassed, like she'd made a stupid decision, like investing was for other people with more money, more knowledge, more of a head start. This is exactly the moment where most people quit. The comfortable choice is to close the account, spend the money, and go back to feeling normal. The uncomfortable choice is to leave it exactly where it is and keep adding to it, even when it feels pointless, even when it's shrinking, even when everyone around you is telling you it's not worth it. Emma left it, and a few weeks later she added another £40, then another. She set up an automatic transfer so she never had to decide again. It just happened the day after payday, before she could even see the money sitting there tempting her. What Emma experienced, without knowing the name for it, is something economists call compound growth, and Warren Buffett has spent an entire career built almost entirely on this one idea. Time in the market beats timing the market. Small, boring, consistent amounts, left alone for years, do something that no single big salary jump ever will. They multiply quietly, in the background, while you're living your life. 2 years later, Emma's small automatic transfers had grown into a real number. Nothing life-changing yet, but real. More importantly, she'd built a habit that most people her age never build. The habit of paying her future self first, automatically, before her present self got the chance to spend it on something she wouldn't even remember buying. Now, if Emma didn't know this stuff either, and you don't know it, that's not your fault. Nobody sits you down in school and explains any of this. You get taught trigonometry and the causes of a war 300 years ago, but nobody explains a payslip, a pension, an interest rate, or the difference between debt that builds you and debt that buries you. Financial literacy is barely taught in schools across the US or the UK, and it shows. The gap here isn't intelligence, it's exposure. And here's something that should genuinely make you feel better if you think you've left it too late. A commonly cited figure from wealth researchers puts the average age of a self-made millionaire at somewhere around 45 to 50, not 25. Emma started at 31 and felt behind. She wasn't. Most people who build real wealth do it slowly, in their 30s, 40s, and 50s, not overnight in their 20s. Let's go back to James for a second, because his story has a turning point too. One night, after checking his bank balance for the 10th time that week, his chest tightened. Actual physical tightness. He genuinely thought he was having a heart attack. His girlfriend drove him to the emergency room. Tests came back completely normal. The doctor's actual words were, "This is a panic attack, not a heart attack, but your body doesn't know the difference, and if you don't deal with what's causing it, next time might be worse." James sat there thinking, deal with it how? If I stop working these hours, who pays the lease? Who pays the credit card minimum? He'd been on this exact track since he was 18, when a guidance counselor and his parents decided together that business and marketing was the safe, sensible path. Get the degree, get the entry-level job, work your way up. Nobody ever once sat him down and explained what happens to money once it lands in an account. Nobody explained interest, compounding, or the fact that lifestyle upgrades quietly eat every single raise before it even has a chance to build anything. This is the actual trap, and it isn't unique to James. It's the story of tens of millions of people across both countries. Every pay rise gets absorbed by a slightly nicer car, a slightly bigger apartment, a slightly more expensive night out, Because that's what a raise is supposed to buy, according to everyone around you. Public schools underfunded, so private tutoring for the kids. Public transport unreliable, so a car loan. Healthcare gaps, so extra insurance. Every single problem in modern life gets solved with a monthly payment, and every monthly payment quietly locks you deeper into the exact job you're trying to escape. This is what financial writers call the golden handcuffs. The salary is good enough that walking away feels insane, but it's never quite enough to actually build freedom. And the single biggest force keeping people locked inside this cage isn't the economy, it's comparison. Nobody wants to be the one friend still driving the old car while everyone else leases something newer. Nobody wants to be the one who says no to the expensive holiday because everyone else is going. So the spending continues, and hustle culture rebrands the exhaustion as ambition. Answering emails at 9 p.m. gets called dedication. Working weekends gets called grit. An entire generation has been told that burnout is just the price of success, when really, it's often just the price of an unexamined budget. The system wasn't built to make this easy to escape. The mindset gets set early. Financial education gets skipped entirely. Marketing and advertising exploit that exact gap, aiming lifestyle upgrades directly at every single payday. And debt cycles make quitting the treadmill feel completely impossible. This is why, by most estimates, the overwhelming majority of middle-income households stay stuck in this exact loop their entire working lives. And it isn't because these people are careless or lazy, it's because nobody ever showed them a different way to think about money. But if you want out of this cage, there is a practical way to actually do it. The night James left that emergency room, he remembered something he used to do as a teenager and had completely stopped. He used to track every single pound and dollar he spent, in a battered old notebook, just to see where it all went. He'd stopped doing it the day he got his first real salary, because tracking felt like something poor people did, not something someone earning $92,000 a year needed to bother with. That weekend, almost as an experiment, he downloaded a free budgeting app and logged every single transaction for 30 days. What he found shocked him. Streaming subscriptions he'd forgotten he had, a gym membership he hadn't used in 4 months, food delivery apps eating nearly $600 a month, more than his entire student loan payment. None of it felt like much in the moment. All of it together was quietly draining him dry. His girlfriend asked what he was doing staying up late with his phone and a spreadsheet instead of watching TV like usual. A colleague joked, "What are you doing, becoming one of those finance bros now?" He kept going anyway. For 30 days, he simply watched, without changing anything yet, just watching where the money actually went versus where he thought it went. Behavioral economists Richard Thaler and Daniel Kahneman spent much of their careers studying exactly this gap, the enormous distance between what people believe they're doing with their money and what they're actually doing with it, almost entirely without realizing it. Most people aren't bad with money because they're reckless. They're bad with money because they've never actually looked at it closely, even once. After 30 days of tracking, James did something small but different. He automated $100 to move into a savings account the day after every payday, before he could see it, before he could talk himself out of it. This is a principle popularized under the name "pay yourself first," and it works precisely because it removes willpower from the equation entirely. You're not relying on discipline in the moment, you're relying on a decision you made once, when you were thinking clearly. The first month felt uncomfortable. The second month felt manageable. By month 6, it felt completely normal, the same way brushing his teeth felt normal. And here's the thing about discipline that nobody tells you. It isn't a personality trait you're either born with or not. Researcher Angela Duckworth's work on grit found, across everything from West Point cadets to national spelling bee competitors, that the people who succeed long-term aren't the ones with the most natural talent. They're the ones who keep showing up, in small, consistent ways, especially in the boring middle stretch where nothing exciting seems to be happening yet. Grit isn't something you're handed at birth, it's something you build, exactly like Emma built her investing habit, and exactly like James built his, one uncomfortable, unglamorous month at a time. A year after that emergency room visit, James had paid off his credit card completely. He'd renegotiated his lease down to something sensible. He had 3 months of expenses sitting in an emergency fund for the first time in his adult life, and a small, automated investment account quietly growing in the background every single month. His salary hadn't changed all that much. What changed was where the money went once it arrived. So if you're wondering exactly what to actually do, here's a simple 3-step formula. based on exactly what worked for both James and Emma, and it comes down to 3 words: track, automate, grow. Step 1 is track. For the next 30 days, before you change a single spending habit, just watch. Write down or log every single dollar or pound that leaves your account. Don't judge it yet. Don't feel guilty about it yet. Just see it clearly for the first time, the way James saw his forgotten subscriptions and his $600 food delivery habit. You cannot fix a leak you've never actually located. Step 2 is automate. Once you know where the leaks are, set up one single automatic transfer, right after payday, into a separate account you don't casually check. It doesn't need to be huge. Emma started with £40, James started with $100. The amount matters far less than the fact that it happens automatically, without requiring you to make a fresh decision every single month. Willpower runs out, automation doesn't. Step 3 is grow. Once that separate account has built up a small cushion, usually a few months of essential expenses, start directing new automatic contributions into something that can actually grow over time: a low-cost index fund, a workplace pension match if your employer offers one, anything that lets time and compounding do the heavy lifting instead of relying purely on your salary. This is the exact stage where most people quit, because growth here is genuinely boring and painfully slow at first. But this is also, precisely, where real wealth gets built. Not through excitement, through repetition. There's a well-known Japanese concept called ikigai, usually described as the intersection of what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for. Financially, there's a very similar intersection worth building for yourself: what you earn, what you actually keep after spending, what you consistently grow, and what protects you when something goes wrong. Get those 4 things working together, even in a small, unglamorous way, and you've essentially built your own private financial ikigai, your own quiet, personal formula for never being trapped by a single paycheck again. In my own case, this channel itself works a bit like that. I genuinely enjoy making these videos. I've gotten reasonably good at it over years of doing it badly first. People clearly find some value in it, and yes, it also generates income. But none of that came pre-packaged on day one. It came from doing the unglamorous, repetitive version of this work long before it paid off in any visible way. Exactly the same pattern as everything I've just described to you. Now, some of you will already be building excuses in your head. I'm too old to start. Global research on career and financial changes consistently shows meaningful shifts happening well into people's 40s and just their 20s. Emma felt behind at 31. She wasn't. Some of you will think, my partner or my family won't take this seriously. So don't try to convince them with words. Show them results, quietly, the way James did when his first debt-free month simply happened. No announcement needed. And some of you will say, I don't have enough money to even start. £40, $100. That's genuinely where both of these stories began. This isn't about having capital, it's about having a system. There's also research from several universities suggesting that people who actively manage even a small, separate pool of money, distinct from their main spending account, report meaningfully lower financial stress and higher overall life satisfaction, regardless of their total income level. This isn't an either-or choice between enjoy your life now or build wealth for later. A well-run system quietly does both at once, because the anxiety of not knowing where your money goes is often heavier than any amount you might set aside. If there's a quiet voice in the back of your mind right now saying, I earn a decent salary, so why do I still feel this stuck? Please don't push that voice away. Most people do exactly that, every single month, for their entire working lives. Alarm goes off, commute happens, work happens, commute back happens, repeat, forever. But if you've actually watched this far, that restlessness in you is still very much alive. Protect it. It's the most valuable thing you currently have. Both the US and the UK have enormous working and middle-income populations right now, and the honest truth is, most of them will spend decades earning solid, respectable salaries and still end up with almost nothing to show for it, not because they're bad with money, but because nobody ever taught them to look at it properly. Fixing your own numbers isn't just about your own life. Every household that breaks out of this exact cycle is one less person locked into decades of quiet financial stress, and that adds up to something bigger than any one person's bank balance. So before you go to bed tonight, open your banking app. Just look, honestly, at where your money actually went this past month. Tomorrow, spend 30 minutes setting up one single automatic transfer, any amount, right after your next payday. Nobody's judging you. Nobody's watching. It's just you, your phone, and 30 minutes. Whatever it looks like for you, cutting one subscription, moving $40 automatically, finally opening that investment account you've been putting off, that's genuinely all it takes to start. Small, boring, and consistent beats big, exciting, and temporary, every single time.